The smell of burnt transmission fluid still clung to my hands when Christine tossed her pearls onto the kitchen counter like they were plastic Mardi Gras beads. "Book club's running late," she said, not bothering to look up from her phone. The screen's glow lit her face like a cheap motel sign. "Cancel the reservations." I stared at the crock pot simmering with her favorite beef bourguignon, the same recipe I'd burned 3 batches of to get right. 32 years gets us. What? A text message and freezer lasagna. My wedding ring caught the light as I gestured at the calendar still circled in red Sharpie. "Hell, at least tell me you're reading something juicier than Eat, Pray, Love this time." She froze mid-text, those manicured claws of hers hovering over the screen. When she finally looked up, it wasn't guilt I saw, just that icy amusement she perfected since the kids left for college. "You're really keeping score now, George? Should I chart my menstrual cycle on the fridge too?" Her laugh sounded like a car alarm. "Grow up. It's one dinner." The garage door shuddered as I slammed it behind me, my palms leaving grease smears on the Corvette's hood. That's when I found it, tucked between her gardening gloves like some perverse prize. A receipt from the Magnolia Inn, dated last Tuesday. $287.63 for a romance package, complete with champagne and rose petals. Funny thing, Christine's book club met last Tuesday, at Martha's house, where Martha's security cameras, the ones I installed last Christmas, would have shown 6 women drinking boxed wine and arguing about Colleen Hoover. The receipt trembled in my hand, cheap paper sticking to the motor oil on my fingers. I counted the charges again: room service, couples massage, premium cable. My throat burned like I'd swallowed brake cleaner. She found me 2 hours later, her shadow stretching across the workbench where I'd laid out every anniversary card she'd given me since '92. "Going through my things now?" Christine plucked the receipt from between a wrench and our 15th anniversary photo. "This yours?" "Must be." I didn't turn around, just kept polishing the Corvette's carburetor with a rag that reeked of bourbon. "Unless you've taken up entertaining garden club ladies at sex motels." The silence lasted 3 heartbeats. Then her perfume hit me, that expensive jasmine crap she only wore for special occasions. Cold fingers gripped my shoulder. Poor thing. Her breath warmed my ear in a parody of intimacy. "When did you get so desperate?" I watched her reflection in the chrome bumper, how carefully she tore the receipt into confetti-sized pieces, how her hips didn't even sway as she strutted back to the house, how the security system chirped twice, her code, followed by mine. The shredded paper fluttered into the oil drain pan like toxic snow. I fished out a fragment with my pinky finger, just enough to see Magnolia Inn and a timestamp. 9:47 p.m. checkout. Book club ended at 8:30. That's when I noticed the gardenias. Fresh ones, blooming in the window box she'd supposedly been too busy to tend. Their waxy petals glowed under the motion lights. Christine hated gardenias. Said they smelled like funeral homes. I pressed a blossom between the pages of our wedding album, the white petals staining yellow at the edges. The garage clock ticked louder. Somewhere, a glass shattered in the house. My reflection in the Corvette's hood showed a grease-stained ghost of a man holding a torque wrench like a lifeline. I traced the receipt's phantom outline on the workbench, motor oil mixing with cheap hotel paper until the wood grain disappeared. The security system log still glowed on my phone. No entries between 7 p.m. and 11:17 p.m. last Tuesday. Just a 3-hour void where my wife's alibi should have been. I poured bourbon into a red Solo cup, toasting the gardenias. "To book club," I muttered. The liquor burned less than her laugh echoing through the baby monitor she didn't know I'd hidden in the ficus. Somewhere between the 3rd drink and dawn, I realized the whiskey wasn't the only thing rotting my gut. The baby monitor crackled with Christine's morning routine. Shower jets hitting tile, the metallic snick of her pill organizer, the particular 3-note hum she reserved for days she thought I'd already left for the garage. I stayed frozen under the Camaro on my creeper, watching her reflection in the oil pan beneath the chassis. Her phone glowed on the kitchen island like a live grenade. She'd gotten smarter. Passcode changed from the kids' birthdays to something else. But she'd forgotten about the fitness tracker synced to the garage TV, the one that showed her midnight heart rate spikes every Thursday like clockwork. 11:47 p.m. 124 BPM. Location data, a rotating list of parking garages downtown. The Camaro's undercarriage dripped synthetic blend onto my forehead as I waited for her Lexus to peel out of the driveway. Her phone buzzed against the marble, 3 short vibrations. Our security camera feed flickered on the mounted TV, showing Laura's Prius idling at the curb. Christine's sister never visited before noon. I emerged from the grease puddle smelling like betrayal and 10W30. The phone lit up at my touch. A notification from some encrypted app called Signal. Preview text. L. Tonight same place? Then nothing. Just that sickly green glow. Laura's voice carried through the screen door before I could process it. Christine's been under so much stress with her meetings. She materialized in the garage doorway holding 2 iced coffees like a peace offering. You really should check her calendar more often. I wiped my hands on a rag that reeked of gasoline and regret. What kind of meetings require 3-hour spa reservations at the Marriott? Her eyebrow twitched, just a flicker. Lawyers don't do couples massages, George. She set the coffee down next to Christine's forgotten yoga mat. A business card peeked out from under the cup sleeve. Vincent Cole, Private Investigations. Discretion guaranteed. Funny, I flicked the card with my pinky nail. Christine's been complaining about your sudden interest in estate law. Laura's smile didn't reach her eyes. She leaned over to adjust the vintage Gulf oil sign above my workbench, her sleeve riding up to reveal fresh scratches along her forearm. We all have secrets. Even mechanics who pretend not to notice their wives buying Plan B at CVS. The monitor chose that moment to broadcast Christine's voice from the living room, sharp and honeyed. Laura? What the hell are you doing here? I pocketed the PI's card as Laura backpedaled, her sandals clicking against the epoxy floor. Just dropping off coffee. She shot me a look that could have stripped chrome. You should really get that security system checked, George. Heard it's been glitchy. The garage door swallowed her Prius whole. I waited until Christine's Bluetooth connected to the bathroom speaker. Box Cello Suite number 5. Her I'm Hiding Something playlist, before fishing the burner phone from the oil drain pan. 3 attempts to guess her new passcode. 1. 1989, our wedding year. Error. 2. 0615, our anniversary. Error. 3. 1225, Laura's birthday. Unlocked. The Signal app glowed like a radioactive wound. Dozens of deleted threads, all to a contact named L. Last message received yesterday. Need to move the money before he finds the ledger. My hands shook as I screenshotted the chat. The TV security feed flickered, Christine pacing the living room, phone pressed to her ear. Laura's Prius reappeared down the block, brake lights flaring red as I zoomed in. That's when I found the Polaroid tucked behind the Gulf sign Laura had adjusted. Christine and Laura at some beach bar, arms slung over each other's shoulders like college sorority girls. Date stamp, 2 weeks after her father's funeral. Christine's left hand blurred mid-gesture, a man's Rolex visible in the background. My Rolex. The one she'd claimed was stolen at the country club locker room. The same week Laura had generously helped file the insurance claim. The baby monitor erupted with Christine's scream. Where's my fucking phone? I texted Vincent Cole from the burner while her footsteps thundered down the stairs. His reply came as Christine burst into the garage, hair still dripping. Vincent, meet me at the Marriott parking garage. Level B4. 11:45 p.m. Her eyes darted to the oil pan where the burner phone now rested under a grease rag. Looking for something? I held up her iPhone, the box still crooning through tinny speakers. Your sister left you another voicemail. She snatched it back, thumb already flying across the screen. Laura's been helping me with something. That's nice. I nodded at the Polaroid still stuck to my workbench with a magnet shaped like a wrench. She helped you fake that Rolex theft too? Christine's face went sheet metal pale. The security system chose that moment to ping. Laura's Prius circling the block again. I popped the hood of the Camaro, the engine's growl drowning out whatever lie she'd prepared. Tell Laura her PI's got shitty timing, I shouted over the RPMs, and that her Prius needs new brake pads. The receipt from Vincent's retainer agreement made excellent kindling for the welding torch. I watched the numbers burn. $5,000 retainer, $250 per hour surveillance. until the ash floated up to join the shredded hotel receipt still stuck in the rafters. At 11:44 p.m., I sat in the Corvette on Marriott's B4 level, watching Vincent check his watch. Christine's Lexus idled 3 rows over, her silhouette barely visible through tinted windows. Laura's Prius rolled in at 11:46. The baby monitor in my glove compartment crackled to life. Christine's voice, tinny and distorted. "He knows about the phone." Laura's laugh echoed through the concrete tomb. "Then you'd better hope he doesn't find what's buried with Dad." The welding torch flared in my passenger seat. I texted Vincent's burner number. "Look up." His confused face tilted toward the security camera I'd rewired that afternoon. Christine's Lexus peeled out as Laura's Prius lurched backward into a support beam. I left the parking ticket stub on Vincent's windshield, $47.50 for overnight parking. The timestamp would show he'd arrived 18 minutes before our scheduled meeting. Plenty of time to plant the evidence. The scent of her Chanel No. 5 lingered like a chemical weapon long after Christine slammed the door. I stared at the gym bag she'd hurled at the vintage jukebox, the one I'd spent 6 months restoring, and noted how the zipper trembled, as if whatever she'd stuffed inside was alive. "You've gone full Dateline, George." She laughed through her exit, car keys jangling like wind chimes in a hurricane. "Next you'll be swabbing my underwear for DNA." The baby monitor in my pocket hissed static. I waited until her Lexus peeled out of the driveway before emptying the bag onto our marital bed, the same Egyptian cotton sheets she'd started accidentally staining with hair dye. Out tumbled protein bars, a .357 Magnum, unregistered, and the burner phone duct taped to a copy of The Art of War. The device buzzed to life as I peeled back the tape. Single contact. L. Incoming text. He's getting close. Burn the ledger. I pressed the phone to my nose. Same gardenia stench from the hotel receipt. Christine's signature move, stealing my cologne to plant false evidence. Classic misdirection. But she'd forgotten about the security footage from Dick's Sporting Goods where I'd watched Laura buy 6 identical burners 2 months prior. The jukebox played Patsy Cline's Crazy on cue. I texted Laura from Christine's burner. "Ledger's safe. Meet me at the vineyard." Her reply came swift. "Don't fuck this up again." That's when I noticed the gun's serial number filed clean. Not Christine's style. Too messy. But Laura? She'd once called the ATF on her ex for owning a slingshot. The baby monitor erupted with Christine's voice from the car Bluetooth, acting like some jilted teenager. A man's chuckle responded. "Not a lover. Not a lawyer. My brother-in-law." The same laugh that had echoed through fishing trips and Little League games. The realization hit like a torque wrench to the ribs. Christine's midnight meetings weren't affairs. They were family reunions. I dismantled the burner with surgical precision, extracting the SIM card as the security feed showed Laura's Prius circling the vineyard gates. The chip left a chemical burn on my palm, cyanide residue, if the bitter almond smell meant anything. Christine's Lexus reappeared on camera, trunk slightly ajar. Through the crack, I glimpsed gardening shears and a tarp. Her text buzzed my personal phone. "Don't wait up." In the garage, I fed the SIM card into the Corvette's cassette player. Static hissed, then Laura's voice. "Told you to bury the paperwork with Dad." Christine's retort. George would have noticed fresh dirt on his precious hydrangeas. The tape ended with 9 seconds of digging sounds. I replanted the burner in Christine's yoga mat, adding my own flourish, a strand of Diane's auburn hair lifted from last week's book club wine night. Let them chase phantom affairs while I followed the money trail. At 3:17 a.m., Christine's Fitbit registered a 162 BPM spike as she discovered the tampered gym bag. Through the air vents, I heard her shredding documents in the basement. The paper confetti smelled like sulfur and lies. I texted Laura's burner. He found the ledger. Her red receipt blinked once. The security cameras captured her Prius plowing through the vineyard's irrigation system. Christine's Lexus fishtailed out of the driveway, tracking mud over the rose bushes she'd planted during our first miscarriage. The baby monitor died as dawn broke. I sat in the Corvette with Dad's old survey maps spread across the passenger seat, property lines shifting like snake tracks around Laura's shell company. When Christine returned smelling of gasoline and guilt, I greeted her with fresh coffee and the Polaroid from the beach bar. "Funny story," I said, tapping the Rolex in the photo. "Turns out pawn shops keep better records than sisters." She froze mid-sip, latte foam clinging to her upper lip like sea spray. The garage door rumbled shut behind us. I revved the Corvette's engine to drown out her excuses. Somewhere beneath the camshaft's roar, a burner phone buzzed its last. The bourbon glowed like liquid amber in Diane's great-grandmother's crystal decanter, the one she'd accidentally kept after Christine strong-armed her into selling the family estate. I'd placed it strategically between us on the workbench, its cut-glass facets catching the security camera's red LED like a distress beacon. "To Michael," I said, clinking my mason jar against hers. The lie tasted smoother than the whiskey. Best damn fisherman in 3 counties. Diane's knuckles whitened around the glass. We both knew her husband had drowned in 6 inches of creek water after mixing Xanax with wild turkey. Christine's doing, if the forged prescription records I'd found in Laura's trash meant anything. He hated this decanter. Diane's laugh cracked like old engine seals. Called it pretentious bullshit. She traced the engraved grapevines, a motif matching the vineyard deeds I'd buried in the Corvette's spare tire compartment. Christine said it'd clash with my new trailer park chic. The baby monitor in my pocket vibrated, Christine's Lexus idling 3 blocks away. Right on schedule. I slid the photo album across the workbench, grease-stained pages open to Michael's 40th birthday. All of us squinting against the sun at Lake Lanier, Christine's hand conspicuously absent from the group shot. That was the summer she'd volunteered to manage Diane's finances after Michael's accident. Diane's chipped nail polish hovered over a snapshot of the old barn. She made me sell the South 40 to some developer. Her voice hardened. Said I'd lose the kids if I couldn't pay the hospital bills. I feigned surprise, nudging the decanter closer. The hidden mic in its base hummed softly. "Christine helped you keep custody?" "Helped?" Diane drained her glass, mascara bleeding into crow's feet. She showed up with CPS paperwork and a buyer's contract. Told me the land was swamp-adjacent anyway. Her finger jabbed a vineyard aerial in the album. Sold it for $80,000. Turns out Laura's shell company flipped it for $1.20 mil 6 months later. The security feed flickered, Christine's silhouette creeping through our side gate. I increased the garage speaker's volume, Willie Nelson's blue eyes crying in the rain masking our voices. "Why tell me now?" I poured more bourbon, my wedding ring tapping the decanter's mic activation switch. Diane's gaze dropped to her phone lighting up with Christine's caller ID. She silenced it. "Because you're digging." And Christine, she rotated her empty glass, revealing a faded lipstick smear, Revlon's Love That Red, the shade Laura wore at Michael's funeral. "She owes me." The garage door creaked. Christine's shrill George carried over the music. Diane pressed something cold into my palm, a USB drive shaped like a guitar pick. "What's buried in the South 40 isn't just dirt." She exited through the side door as Christine materialized in her yoga gear, eyes laser-focused on the decanter. "Nostalgia night?" She fake-pouted, hip cocked against my drill press. "Should I fetch my prom queen tiara?" I palmed the USB, thumb brushing its engraved coordinates. Diane needed help appraising some heirlooms. Christine's laugh echoed off the tool racks. "Let me guess, she tried to pawn that hideous decanter again?" She snatched it up, examining the base where the mixed wireless charger left a faint circular mark. "Funny. Looks just like the one Dad kept his." Her face went slack. The decanter slipped, shattering against the concrete in a pool of whiskey and secrets. I knelt to gather shards, careful to pocket the mix SD card. "His what?" Christine ground a crystal splinter under her sneaker. "Nothing. Cheap crap anyway." The baby monitor buzzed. Laura's Prius parked outside Diane's trailer. Through the garage window, I watched Diane's silhouette pace behind drawn blinds, the USB's glow reflecting in her trembling hands. I texted Vincent Colesburner. "Check coordinates 34.0522 degrees north, 118.2437 degrees west. Bring a metal detector." His reply came as Christine hosed down the bourbon puddle. "You're digging your own grave, old man." I smiled at the security feed still looping Laura's vineyard schematics. Let them think this was about land. The real treasure was buried 6 feet under Michael's favorite fishing spot, Christine's DNA on a bourbon bottle shard, and a USB full of Laura's blackmail receipts. Diane's final whisper haunted the garage long after Christine left. She made me bury him there. The decanter's last shard glinted in my palm. I'd save it for Laura's inevitable eulogy. The garage reeked of Monte Cristo smoke when Christine stormed in, her Lululemon leggings streaked with fresh mud. She slammed a cigar, but into my half-finished carburetor rebuild, the cherry glowing like a demon's eye against the steel valves. Diane's lipstick looks cheap on you. I didn't look up from the fuel injector I was calibrating. Funny. She said the same about your Botox. The lie came easy, flavored with truth. Diane had drunkenly mocked Christine's frozen forehead last Thanksgiving. Christine's stiletto tapped an uneven rhythm against the epoxy floor. I tracked her reflection in the Camaro's side mirror. How her gaze darted to the pair of Zalto wine glasses I'd left in the sink. One smudged with Revlon's Love That Red. The other pristine. You're following me now? I nodded at her shoes caked with clay from the vineyard's north quadrant. We're just auditioning for Dirty Dancing remake. She lunged for the glasses, but I was faster. My greased fingers left prints on the stems as I held them aloft, like trophies. Careful, princess. These cost more than your last spa day. Her slap missed my cheek, nails grazing the vintage Gulf sign instead. The clatter covered the click of the baby monitor recording. You're pathetic. Spittle flew with each word. Screwing that trailer trash in my house. Our house. I wiped her saliva off the workbench with a rag soaked in brake fluid. Funny though, how you knew Diane was here. Considering your Lexus GPS showed you at the Marriott all night. The silence tasted sweeter than victory. Christine's jaw worked like a hooked bass as she processed her mistake. I opened the security app on my phone, projecting her vehicle's travel history onto the garage TV. Red lines spiderwebbed across the map. Every midnight vineyard visit, every detour past Diane's trailer. You tracked me first. Her whisper carried the weight of a confession. I tapped the screen, zooming in on tonight's coordinates. Odd. Your car's at the vineyard, but you're here. The camera feed switched to Laura's Prius idling at the coordinates Christine's Lexus supposedly occupied. Almost like someone spoofing your GPS. Christine's hand flew to her cross necklace, Michael's funeral gift from Diane. The chain snapped under her grip, pearls scattering across the floor. Laura said you'd pull this shit. Laura's been busy. I ejected the Corvette's dashcam footage. Night vision showed Laura planting the cigar, but in Christine's gym bag yesterday. Smuggling Cubans. Filing false police reports. The video cut to Laura keying Diane's truck. Standard sisterly bonding. Christine lunged for my phone. I let her have it, knowing she'd find the real prize. The screenshot of Laura's Venmo transactions. $500 weekly payments to Vincent Cole Investigations. She's protecting me. Christine's scream rattled the tool chest. From your psychotic. The security alarm blared. Red lights strobed as the garage door shuttered open, revealing Diane's dented Silverado parked Askew. Her headlights illuminated the mud on Christine's shoes, soil I'd collected from Michael's grave site last week. You're right, I said, pocketing the wine glass with Diane's lipstick. I should have cheated. Might have been cheaper than funding Laura's pirate rum habit. Christine froze mid-retort. The cigar smoke clung to her hair like a shroud as realization dawned. I'd known about the tracking. Encouraged it. Let her waste months chasing phantom affairs while I cataloged every illegal vineyard transfer. Diane's truck horn split the night. Christine flinched, her Rolex glinting under fluorescent lights. The same watch Laura had reported stolen. The same watch now ticking to the rhythm of Christine's racing pulse. I pressed the garage door remote, bathing her in Silverado high beams. Better hurry. Laura's waiting at your fake GPS location with a surprise. Her stilettos crunched pearls as she fled. I texted Vincent Cole's burner. She's all yours. The security feed showed Laura's Prius T-boning Christine's Lexus at the vineyard gates, right where I'd poured fresh oil on the asphalt. Diane emerged from her truck, holding a 1996 Chateau Margaux. To Michael, she said, eyeing the wine glass in my hand. I clinked her bottle against the smudged rim. To GPS trackers. The cigar but made excellent kindling for the celebratory bonfire. As flames consumed Laura's fake police reports, I realized Christine never asked about the second wine glass, the clean one. The one I'd lifted from Laura's Prius during her last charity visit. Diane's laughter echoed through the pines as the baby monitor broadcast Christine's meltdown. Planted evidence. That's not even my lipstick. I toasted the security camera. Let them chase each other. The real trap was already sprung. Laura's office smelled like a cross between a CVS perfume aisle and a crime scene, overpowering gardenias masking the faint tang of bleach. I nudged the framed photo on her desk with my greasy knuckle, watching her reflection in the glass. Cute kid. The toddler building sandcastles was clearly a stock image. Yours. She snatched the frame, polishing non-existent smudges with her sleeve. Christine's been sleeping with her tennis instructor. Her manicured nail tapped a spreadsheet titled Asset Redistribution. Caught them at the Marriott twice last month. I leaned back in the client chair, its leather creaking like a guilty conscience. The security feed on my phone showed Christine's Lexus circling the vineyard, right where I told her Laura was meeting the PI. Funny. Their courts got bulldozed in '09. Laura's pen froze mid-scribble. A Montblanc Meister stuck. Same model Christine had gifted herself after her father's funeral. Memory issues already. George? I've got an excellent neurologist. The desk calendar caught my eye, June dates crossed out violently. Circled in red, July 17th, Dad's death date. Scrawled beneath, transfer final. I whistled. Big plans for the anniversary? Her coffee cup rattled against the saucer. Christine's idea. Memorial service at the vineyard. She recovered fast, flashing teeth whitened to surgical levels. You should come. Bring Diane. The spreadsheet rustled as I flipped pages. Line items for vineyard maintenance matched the shell company's illegal drainage permits. Thought you hated that place. Hate strong. She plucked the document from my hands. Let's focus on your cheating wife, Her heel tapped a Morse code rhythm against the filing cabinet. Vincent says she's meeting her lover tonight. The golf pro? I stood abruptly, knocking over the photo frame. Glass shattered, revealing the real picture beneath, Laura and Christine at the vineyard's grand opening. Dad's tombstone visible in the background. Funny story. I ground shards under my boot. Your golf pro's been dead since '08. Heroin overdose. I'd know. I'd towed his corpse-filled BMW from the river. Laura's smile turned feral. She opened the spreadsheet again, revealing hidden tabs, medical bills from Cedar Springs Clinic. Christine's name. Dated 2 weeks after Dad's funeral. Grief does strange things, she purred. Like make wives seek comfort in unfamiliar places. The baby monitor in my pocket vibrated, Christine's Lexus now parked at the vineyard's maintenance shed. Right above the septic tank I'd spent weeks retrofitting. I snapped a covert photo of the calendar. Memorial service sounds lovely. Should I bring potato salad? Her laugh followed me into the hall. Bring a lawyer. The elevator doors closed on her still-tapping heel. I enlarged the calendar photo, July 17th notes in microscopic handwriting. Final payment, burial crew. Diane's text came as I hit the parking lot. They're digging up the South 40. I revved the Corvette's engine, grinning at the dashboard. GPS Laura's Prius low-jacked and rerouted to meet Christine's Lexus. Let them exhume whatever they thought I'd buried. The real bodies were in the spreadsheet. The humidor exploded first. I remember because the smell of Cuban cigars and embalming fluid made me retch into the funeral home's azalea bushes. Christine's father had insisted on an open casket despite the pancreatic cancer ravaging his face, so Laura can't pretend I died smiling. His final voicemail rasped. Laura's stiletto cracked against the mahogany coffin as she waved the will. South 40's mine. You promised. Christine stood statue still in her veiled black hat, clutching Dad's vintage Zippo, the one he'd used to light my wedding cigar. The vineyard stays whole, she murmured, repeating it like a rosary. I'd been too busy mopping cognac off the will to notice the notary's trembling hands. Too distracted by Laura's meltdown to question why Christine's inheritance papers listed her as sole beneficiary instead of eldest daughter. The memory sharpened as I sifted through moldy banker's boxes in the vineyard's flooded basement. Water lapped at my boots, each wave revealing another clue. 1. Dad's death certificate signed by Dr. Edwin Cole, Vincent's estranged uncle. 2. A 2008 invoice for industrial herbicide labeled South 40 Drainage Project. 3. Laura's teenage diary, it's lockpicked by time. July 17th, told Dad about the pregnancy. He laughed. Called me a scheming bitch like Mom. Christine promised to fix everything. The pages stuck together. I peeled them apart under my phone's flashlight, bourbon-scented mildew burning my nostrils. September 2nd. C says the problem disappeared. Dad's giving her the vineyard anyway. I'll burn it down first. Water dripped rhythmically onto a warped ledger. Numbers swam, maintenance cost ballooning after Laura took over in 2012. But the real gem was the property transfer stub. Vineyard sale. Seller, Christine Marie Whitmore. Buyer, LKW Holdings LLC. Price, $425,000. Appraised value, $2.1 million. The date stamp stopped my breath. July 17, 2014. Exactly 7 years after Dad's funeral. Christine's voice crackled through the baby monitor I'd hidden in the wine cellar. Told you not to keep paper trails. A cork popped. Liquid splashed. Laura's slurred retort, relax. George is too busy playing detective to check property records. The monitor died as water reached its circuits. I used Christine's Zippo to ignite a cigarillo from Dad's humidor, the one I'd salvaged from the funeral debris. Flames revealed what the water hadn't, faint indentations on the ledger's last page. I rubbed charcoal over the sheet like a tombstone rubbing. Numbers emerged, $15K monthly deposits from LKW Holdings to a Cayman Islands account. The account number matched the one on Laura's leaked Venmo spreadsheets. Diane found me hip-deep in floodwater, the cigarillo dangling from my lips like Dad used to do. They're draining the South 40. Her flashlight caught the glint of submerged machinery parts. Found Michael's truck. I handed her the ledger. Found your alimony. She traced the Cayman deposits, her chipped nail polish matching the rust on the Zippo. Christine said Laura forced the sale. Laura's the fall guy. I pointed to the herbicide invoice's delivery address, Christine's old Pilates studio. Your sister-in-law's been poisoning the South 40 since Dad's funeral. The monitor's corpse sparked in my pocket. Christine's final transmitted words looped in my skull. He's getting close. Close? Honey, I'm already elbow-deep in your septic tank. The real inheritance wasn't land or money. It was the receipt from Dad's last liquor order, buried under the ledger. 12X Macallan 30-year. 1X Industrial Bleach. Delivered July 16, 2007. The day before he died. The filet mignon cost more than my first car, but watching Christine stab at it with a steak knife made the $400 worth every penny. I'd set the table with her dead mother's china, the same pattern Laura accidentally broke during Dad's wake, and paired it with a 97 Opus one from the vineyard's cursed cellar. To fresh starts. Christine's glass trembled, leaving Merlot tears on the linen. She'd worn the black cocktail dress from our 25th anniversary, the one she'd vomited on after learning Laura's first husband survived his fatal motorcycle crash. I nudged the Bluetooth speaker, flooding the dining room with Etta James' I'd Rather Go Blind, the song playing when I'd caught her slow dancing with Laura's divorce attorney at the country club. Her fork screeched across the plate. Why are you doing this? Doing what? I refilled her glass, my pinky brushing the hidden mic in my sleeve cuff. Loving my wife? The back door creaked. Laura's shadow loomed in the hallway mirror, her reflection warped by the glass's imperfection, a flaw Christine had refused to fix for decades. You're distracting me from Christine caught herself, gulping wine. From book club planning. I rose slowly, the chair legs screaming against hardwood. Let me help you with your coat. She stiffened as my arms encircled her, my fingers slipping into her Gucci clutch. The burner phone's cold metal blended with her lipstick tubes. You're sweating, I murmured, pressing the device deeper. Laura chose that moment to barrel in, reeking of gasoline and guilt. Christine. The vineyards, she froze, spotting the half-empty decanter. Having a party? Christine jerked away, clutching her purse to her chest like a bomb. Get out. But the South 40. Out. The Bluetooth switched to Billie Holiday's Gloomy Sunday as Laura retreated. Christine drained her glass, the wine staining her teeth blood red. You've changed. Learn from the best. I served dessert, chocolate torte laced with X-Lax. A vintage George move. Her phone buzzed first. Then mine. Then Laura's Prius blasting La Cucaracha outside. Christine fumbled with her clutch, the burner clattering onto her mother's bone china. Laura's contact photo flashed, a selfie from Dad's funeral. Incoming text. He knows about the phone. Christine's scream shattered the dessert plates. She lunged across the table, nails aimed at my eyes. I caught her wrist, twisting until her wedding band bit into swollen flesh. Careful, princess. I nodded at the security feed showing Laura hyperventilating in her car. Your sister's recording. The hidden mic had done its job. Laura's panicked voicemail boomed through the speakers. He found the ledger copies in the septic tank. The phone's GPS is live at your house. Christine collapsed into the ruins of her mother's china, sobbing. I pocketed the burner, now smeared with chocolate and fingerprints. Funny. I licked toward off the screen. Laura's panic attack looks just like yours at Michael's funeral. The Bluetooth switched to Christine's own voice, recorded earlier. I'd rather fuck a landfill than let George touch me again. I left her weeping amidst the shards. Laura's Prius peeled out, dragging part of our fence down the street. The real masterpiece? The burner wasn't Laura's. It was Christine's old gym phone from 2009, reactivated and loaded with Laura's self-incriminating texts. Let them destroy each other. I'd already won. The baby monitor's static hum synchronized with Christine's ragged breathing as she crept past our bedroom door. I lay motionless, the vineyard deeds crinkling under my pillow, their musty scent blending with the copper-toned stench of Laura's sunscreen on my collar. Let her think I'd spent the night drowning my sorrows at the pool bar. She hit the study first. I tracked her progress through the house by the symphony of destruction. Desk drawers yanked open, file cabinets appended, the wet thud of Dad's urn knocked over in her frenzy. When she reached the closet where I'd hidden the septic tank blueprints, I finally opened my eyes. Her shadow stretched across the moonlit wall, distorted into a praying mantis silhouette by the angle-poised lamp she carried. The security feed on my phone showed her dumping my toolbox, screwdrivers clattering against the hardwood. The bathroom lock clicked. I rose silently, the deed's embossed notary seal imprinting itself on my palm. Through the air vent, I watched her dismantle the medicine cabinet with surgical precision, not searching for pills, but prying at the backing board with a nail file. Her choked sob carried through the pipes. A small velvet pouch tumbled into the sink, its contents glinting even in the weak moonlight. Dad's missing signet ring. And behind it, a Polaroid of Christine and Laura standing over fresh concrete in the vineyard's equipment shed. Dated July 18, 2007. I had no choice, she whispered to the mirror, smearing mascara across her reflection. The ring slipped onto her thumb. Dad's hands had been twice her size. He was going to tell you. I retreated to bed as she flushed the photo. Not fast enough. The Polaroid's chemical stench would linger in the pipes for days. The deed's fine print burned behind my eyelids. Clause 12b. In the event of unforeseen groundwater contamination, ownership reverts to LKW Holdings pending environmental review. The dates aligned perfectly. Dad died July 17th. Laura's shell company filed contamination reports July 19th. Christine's phone buzzed on her nightstand. Laura's text glowed in the dark. Did you find the locket? I rolled over, feigning sleep as Christine tiptoed back in. Her icy fingers brushed my neck, checking my pulse or rehearsing strangulation. I waited until her snores turned chemical, then fished the silver locket from her discarded jeans. The photo inside wasn't of some lover. It was Dad's last hospital selfie, his jaundiced finger pointing accusingly at the forebag. Scrawled on the back in Laura's handwriting, potassium chloride 20 milliequivalent. The baby monitor crackled. Laura's voice drifted through the white noise. Should have let me finish him in '07. I slipped the locket into Laura's golf bag by the door, its chain catching on a 9-iron. Let them play Clue with their own murder weapons. The real evidence was already in the septic tank, Dad's medical chart taped to a bourbon bottle, preserved in shit and lies. As dawn broke, Christine stirred, her breath reeking of mouthwash and desperation. I pressed closer, my whisper a venomous caress. Sleep well, killer? Her scream shook the foundation, but the house held firm. Just like my alibi. The garage door hadn't fully risen before Laura's stiletto wedged itself under the track. She smelled like burnt hair and desperation, clutching Diane's daughter's asthma inhaler like a grenade pin. Where's the ledger? I kept welding the Corvette's exhaust manifold, sparks raining onto the vineyard map spread across the floor. Funny. Christine asked the same thing about your diaphragm last night. She hurled the inhaler. It bounced off the camshaft I'd left strategically on the workbench, landing in the oil drain pan. That trailer rat's kid chokes without this. Her smirk faltered as I fished out the device, shaking fluid from its chamber. Relax. I tossed her a shop rag. Emmy's had a spare since the ER visit. The security feed on my phone showed Diane's daughter boarding a Greyhound to Chattanooga, her backpack stuffed with cash, and the counterfeit inhaler I'd provided. Kids lose things. Laura's heel cracked the map's protective glass. Christine's her godmother, you pathetic cuck. One call to CPS. And they'll find the fentanyl in your glove compartment? I nodded at the Prius idling outside, its passenger seat piled with borrowed medical supplies. Or maybe the forged custody papers from 2012? The air shifted, burnt metal and Chanel No. 5. Christine's shadow loomed in the doorway clutching a fire extinguisher. Laura pounced, snatching the vineyard map. The South 40's already gone. Sign it over or... I triggered the UV light installed in the workbench. Hidden property lines glowed beneath the map's surface, revealing a parcel Laura's shell company didn't own, the 3-acre strip where Dad's original farmhouse stood. Odd. I traced the radioactive green border. Your purchase excluded the mineral rights. The USB drive from Diane glinted as I plugged it into the shop stereo. Laura's voice boomed over the speakers. Digging permits require a corpse. Christine's got one handy. Christine dropped the extinguisher. It rolled toward Laura's designer purse, leaking white foam that smelled suspiciously like the vineyard's compost fertilizer. Emmy's my niece, Christine whispered, staring at the asthma inhaler dissolving in oil. Laura barked a laugh. Your daughter. Let's not pretend. The baby monitor erupted with Emmy's voice from the Greyhound security cam. Thanks for the college fund, Uncle George. I muted it, savoring Christine's collapse against the tool chest. Laura lunged for the USB, but I'd swapped it with a decoy containing her own blackmail recordings. Let her destroy the evidence that could have saved her. Sign the quitclaim, I said, sliding the forged document toward Christine. Her signature already waited below Dad's shaky notary stamp, copied from the ledger onto transferable paper. Laura's scream shook the rafters as Christine scrawled her name. The fire extinguisher chose that moment to explode, coating Laura's Prada outfit in retardant foam. I texted Diane's daughter a single emoji, bus. The real mineral rights deed was already taped under Emmy's bus seat, next to a burner phone and Dad's signet ring. Let them fight over dirt. The oil-stained inhaler made a satisfying crunch under my boot. Christine's whimper followed me out into the dawn, but I had a Greyhound to catch. The USB drive was shaped like Emily's childhood asthma medal, the one Christine had lost during her first hospitalization. Diane's trembling fingers left sweat smudges on the silver pendant as she pressed it into my palm. They made me record everything. Her confession unfolded between sobs and swigs of cheap tequila in the vineyard's abandoned fermentation tank. Moonlight sliced through rusted vents, illuminating dates scratched into the steel. July 17th repeated like a prison tally. The surgery cost $287,000. Diane's laugh echoed hollowly. Same as Christine's romance package receipt. She traced a bullet hole in the tank wall from Laura's target practice phase. Loan sharks wanted collateral. Christine offered me. The USB warmed against my skin. I'd seen its twin years ago, dangling from Emily's neck in ICU photos. And Laura paid the sharks with blackmail money. Diane's chipped nail polish matched the dried blood on the tank floor. From Dad's accident. I slotted the USB into my phone. Folders exploded. Audio files timestamped during Christine's late-night book clubs. The first clip hissed to life. Laura, background casino noise. He'll never check the hospice invoices. Just keep forging Dad's signatures. Christine, exhausted. Emily needs the next infusion by Thursday. Loan shark, gutter will bring the deeds, or we start with the kid's fingers. Diane smashed her bottle. She saved Emily. Condemned me. Glass shards glittered like the diamond bracelet Laura gave her after the surgery, the one with the GPS tracker. I cued the security feed, Laura's Prius circling Diane's trailer. Why talk now? Her fist bled onto the USB. Because Christine's next payment's due. She swiped to a dark web page. Emily's photo over a $500,000 bounty. Laura's cutting losses. The fermentation tank's ladder rattled. Christine's shadow dripped onto the grated floor, reeking of gasoline and gardenias. Diane, you down here? I pocketed the USB, its chain slithering into my boot like a venomous snake. Diane seized my collar, her whisper frantic. The ledger's encrypted with Emily's birth date. But there's a second file. Christine's flashlight blinded us. George? What the hell? Diane lunged, slashing Christine's cheek with her broken bottle. You promised they'd stop. I melted into the shadows as sisters grappled, their screams bouncing off steel. The USB's hidden partition flickered on my phone. A video titled Final Payment. Thumbnail: Laura smirking beside Dad's hospice bed, syringe in hand. Diane's final gift wasn't the ledger. It was a live stream link to Emily's dorm room. Laura's face pressed against the window. I texted the loan shark's burner. New collateral available. 25% finder's fee. The real surgery wasn't Emily's. It was mine. The vasectomy Christine forced after her third miscarriage. The USB's chain tightened around my knuckles. Finally, a worthy scalpel. The bourbon bottle exploded against the vintage jukebox, showering glass shards over Christine's collection of self-help books. Play it again, I growled, wiping Jack Daniels from the USB drive's asthma metal charm. Louder. Christine clutched the fireplace poker like a lifeline, her reflection warped in the shattered TV screen where Laura's voice still boomed. Either take the DUI charge, or I'll send the security footage to George's shop. The audio file's background noise finally registered. The clatter of lifters being adjusted, the hiss of my old hydraulic press. July 17, 2007. The night I'd gotten blind drunk after finding Christine's first fake miscarriage paperwork. You drove Dad home from the hospice. My voice cracked. Security footage I'd erased to protect her showed a black SUV swerving into our garage. Not me. She slumped against the bookshelf, self-help titles tumbling around her. Women who love too much, codependent no more. Laura had cameras in the 4 bags. You'd just gotten the shop license. The USB's next file autoplayed. Security footage of 25-year-old George passed out in the Corvette's passenger seat, while Christine steered with one hand, Dad's corpse propped between them like a macabre chaperone. I crashed into the tool shed. She stared at the whiskey pooling around her Louboutins. Laura said she'd send the video to the DMV. Get your mechanic's license revoked. I dug Dad's hospice bracelet from the USB case, still stained with motor oil from that night. So you spent a decade fucking with my head to protect what? My ability to change spark plugs? Her screams startled the mourning doves nesting in our chimney. I lost 3 babies to keep you safe. The air left the room. She fumbled through the wreckage, producing a dented Zippo we'd stolen from a roadhouse on our honeymoon. Its underside revealed fresh engraving, burn after reading. Inside were ultrasound photos I'd never seen. 2009, 2012, 2015, each labeled threatened miscarriage in Laura's handwriting. She tampered with my birth control. Christine's laugh curdled into a sob. Said you'd leave if I got fat and boring. The jukebox sparked, resurrecting Elvis's suspicious minds. I crushed the hospice bracelet, plastic shards cutting into my palm. And the affairs? The hotel receipts. Laura's idea. She hurled the Zippo into the fireplace. Keep you too angry to dig deeper. The asthma metal USB revealed its final file, Laura's blackmail ledger. Column after column of payments labeled miscarriage prevention. Christine's signature on every one. Her knees hit the floor as the truth detonated. I let you hate me, so you'd never. God, I just wanted you alive. Outside, Laura's Prius backfired like a gunshot. The baby monitor broadcast her shriek. You had one job, Christine. I pocketed the USB, its chain now a noose around Laura's empire. Christine's hand groped for mine, clutching the ultrasound photos. Burn them, she whispered. I struck the Zippo, watching 20 years of lies curl to ash. The real fire burned in my chest. Not fury, but the sickening realization that her cruelty had been armor. Laura's shadow filled the doorway, a syringe glinting in her manicured claw. Family therapy time. The last ultrasound photo ignited. As flames licked Laura's designer sleeves, I finally understood the game. The DUI wasn't the secret. The miscarriages weren't the secret. The secret was Christine's love, a grenade pin she'd pulled long ago, waiting for the explosion to save me. Laura's pistol smelled like Hoppa's number 9 and regret. Same solvent I'd used to clean Dad's shotgun before his accidental discharge. She waved it between Christine and me like a metronome, her designer blazer riding up to reveal the ankle monitor from her third DUI. The ledger. Now. I nudged the fireplace poker closer with my boot, its shadow stretching across Laura's Prius keys hidden under the rug. Check the humidor. Christine lunged for the carved oak box, but Laura's bullet shattered its hinges first. Fake Cuban cigars exploded like confetti, along with the USB drive I'd swapped with Diane's karaoke recordings. You think I'm stupid? Laura racked the slide, a .45 casing bouncing off Christine's forehead. The real one's in your safe. Combination's Emily's birthday. I smiled, remembering the look on Christine's face when she discovered the safe's new combo, our first miscarriage date. Tried that. Turns out 00-00-00 opens interesting places. The security feed on my phone showed cops breaching the vineyard gates. Right on schedule. Laura's gun found Christine's trembling chin. Last chance, sister. Christine's whisper cut through Ginsmoke. Dad's grave. East side. I stepped between them, the barrel's heat searing my AC/DC shirt. She's lying. Again. My thumb found the silent alarm button sewn into my sleeve, a modified garage door opener. Ledger's in your Prius. Glove box. Laura's eyes narrowed. The cop's flashlights bobbed past the living room window. Check the security footage, I pressed. July 17th, 2:47 a.m. You put it there. Her free hand scrolled her phone. The video showed Laura sleepwalking to her car, clutching the ledger like a teddy bear, footage I defaked using her Ambien confessionals. Bullshit. She swung the gun toward the window as police radios crackled. Christine chose that moment to hurl Dad's ashes, still radioactive from the hospice cover-up. The urn caught Laura's temple with a sickening crunch, white powder blooming like a nuclear cloud. I dove for the poker, its tip glowing from earlier whiskey flames. For Emily, I growled, branding Laura's calf with the vineyard's coordinates. Her scream harmonized with sweat breaching the door. Christine collapsed against the shattered humidor, clutching ultrasound photos to her chest. It's over, she rasped. I pocketed the real ledger, hidden in Laura's pistol grip since she'd arrived. Sweetheart, I muttered, watching cops cuff her over Dad's grave marker. I retired from fixing cars. Not messes. The body cam footage would show Laura resisting arrest. My insurance policy, the same vineyard deed copy I'd planted in her trunk. As they dragged her out, Laura locked eyes with me, blood trickling from her nose. The vineyard's cursed. I toasted her with Christine's spiked tea. So's your ammo. The .45 rounds were blanks, purchased from the same pawn shop that had her real bullets. Christine's hand found mine in the chaos. I let her cling for 3 seconds before shaking free. The real ledger burned in the fireplace, its pages curling into black roses. Let the cops chase Laura's ghosts. My revenge was simpler, a text to Diane's daughter. Oncoming police car party popper. Attached, Laura's mugshot and the address of her probation officer. The vineyard could rot. I'd already won. The SWAT team's flashlights caught Laura's rhinestone earring mid-swing as she kneecapped an officer with her stiletto. Christine scrambled toward me through the debris field of our marriage. Shattered china, ultrasound ashes, the still smoking ledger. Her hands leaving bloody streaks on the divorce papers I'd stored in the Corvette's glove compartment. George, please. I tossed her the embossed envelope, its corners reinforced with strips of tire tread. Inside, filings notarized using Laura's stolen stamp, asset divisions based on her own forged ledgers, and a Polaroid of Christine's fake miscarriage paperwork I'd lifted from the hospice dumpster. Page 12's interesting, I shouted over the radio static. Turns out bigamy's illegal even if both wives hate you. She collapsed against the bullet-riddled jukebox, Elvis still crooning about traps. The papers trembled as she flipped to the highlighted section, my airtight alibi for Dad's death, signed by Laura's own PI. You let me think I killed him. I pocketed the USB drive now containing Laura's entire blackmail empire. You did kill him. The divorce decree's final page glowed under UV light. A map to the real ledger buried with Emily's asthma medal. Just not the way you thought. SWAT dragged Laura past us, her manicured nails clawing furrows in the hardwood. The vineyard's mine. Spittle flecked her Armani blazer. Dad promised. Christine hurled the Zippo at her sister. It bounced off Laura's forehead, igniting a strand of hair extensions. Rot in hell. The lead officer handed me a receipt for evidence collected: Laura's burner phones, the syringe, Christine's shredded lingerie from the Marriott. I initialed it with the pen I'd used to sign our marriage certificate. Christine's whisper cut through the chaos. You knew the whole time. I crouched, our reflections warped in the .45's polished slide. Knew you'd pick protecting me over loving me. Her wedding band glinted in the strobe lights as I pried it loose. Took 20 years to be sure. The ring joined Laura's earring in my shirt pocket, a clinking reminder of victories that tasted like transmission fluid. Christine's trembling fingers found the ultrasound ashes smeared on my boots. The babies were never real. I dropped Laura's falsified medical bills into her lap. Just leverage. The SWAT commander offered Christine a blanket. She wrapped herself in it like a shroud, her gaze locked on the divorce papers' final clause: full ownership of the vineyard, contingent on Laura's conviction. I revved the Corvette's engine, its rumble drowning out her keening wail. The garage door closed on our life together, crushing Laura's forgotten stiletto in its tracks. The real ledger had been in the divorce papers all along, microdots on each page, visible through the ring's hollow center. As the gates closed behind me, Christine's scream chased me down the highway. You planned this. I adjusted the rearview mirror, smirking at the vineyard shrinking into hell's silhouette. Planned? No. I'd rebuilt it from the wreckage they left. The vineyard gates creaked open to reveal Diane straddling a rusted tractor, her sundress fluttering like a surrender flag. She held 2 tumblers of Merlot that matched the stains on the sold sign I'd planted in Laura's Prius. To fresh starts, she offered, though her toast sounded more like an autopsy report. I toasted with a Red Bull instead, my boots crunching over the gravel Laura had imported from Dad's grave site. To higher offers. Diane's smile curdled as I unfolded the quitclaim deed, notarized with Christine's forged signature and Laura's stolen seal. The property lines glowed under UV light, revealing the 3-acre strip where Emily's college fund was buried in oil drums. You played us all. Her tumbler shattered against the tractor's corroded blade. The miscarriages. The ledger. Even Emily's. Asthma. I sipped the energy drink, its metallic tang blending with the vineyard's sulfur stench. Funny how those attacks stopped when Laura's blackmail money dried up. Auguste carried the scent of overripe grapes and diesel. Diane's eyes widened at the excavator I'd parked over the South 40's fresh fill. You're digging him up. Who? I kicked a clod of dirt, exposing the septic tank's access hatch. Dad? Michael? Or the loan shark Laura buried here in '09? Her fist connected with my jaw, a weak punch softened by years of boxed wine and regret. I let her stumble into the fermentation tank, its rusted ladder groaning under her weight. Christine loved you. Love. I spat blood onto Laura's Prius key fob. She loved the lie. You loved the money. Laura loved the game. The security feed on my phone showed Christine boarding a Greyhound, her purse stuffed with counterfeit deeds. Me? I just loved winning. Diane's scream startled the crows perched on the cursed oak. She hurled the Merlot bottle, but I caught it mid-arc, same move I'd used to snatch Christine's wedding band from the disposal. Relax. I smashed the bottle against the excavator's claw. Sold the mineral rights to fracking company. Your precious grapes will be dust in a year. Her tears cut tracks through the vineyard's perpetual dust. Emily trusted you. I palmed the asthma metal USB, now filled with college acceptance letters instead of blackmail files. Tell her Uncle George says hello. The real victory wasn't in the deed or the money. It was in Diane's rearview mirror as she peeled out, the excavator's claw poised over the septic tank, and me saluting with Christine's lost Zippo. The flames tasted like closure and gasoline. By dawn, the cursed vineyard was just another smudge on the horizon, and my phone buzzed with a new listing. Prom industrial land, lightly used. Owner motivated. I texted Laura's prison commissary account the listing number. Let her watch her empire burn from a payphone. The Corvette's engine roared to life, carrying me toward the next town, the next game. Red Bull and revenge, the only fuels a man like me needs. The Corvettes had vibrated under Christine's fists, her wedding band leaving silver crescents in the cherry red paint. She reeked of bus station bathrooms and defeat, her designer sunglasses cracked from where Laura had pistol-whipped her during the SWAT raid. "Tell me why," she demanded, though the security cameras showed her rifling through my toolbox for the divorce settlement check. I polished the camshaft with Laura's shredded blouse, its silk snagging on the lifters. "Why let you play martyr? Or why wait until Laura maxed out your credit cards?" She hurled a torque wrench at the vintage Golf sign. It clanged off the concrete, taking out a chunk of drywall. "You knew about the DUI. Let me think I killed Dad." "You did." I revved the engine, its roar drowning her sob. The security feed on my phone showed Laura's prison call log, 37 unanswered attempts to Christine's burner. Just not with a car. Her reflection warped in the oil-stained windshield as I unfolded the DMV report from 2007. Page 4. Blood alcohol level, 0.00. She traced the notary stamp with a chip nail, Laura's forgery, lifted from the hospice records. But the video, the crash? Staged. I queued up the footage on the garage TV. Young Christine swerved to miss a deer, Dad's corpse slumping harmlessly against the seatbelt. Laura edited out the animal. Added whiskey bottles. Christine's knees hit the oil-slick floor. All those years, the hate was easier than love. I tossed her the Zippo from our wedding night. Its engraving caught the fluorescence. Burn bright. Burn fast. You wanted a villain, so I became one. She lunged, the screwdriver she'd palmed aimed at my throat. I didn't flinch. The security gate slammed shut on her scream, trapping us in the garage's amber-lit womb. "Do it." I pressed into the blade, a bead of blood welling where her lies used to kiss. "Make your sister right." The screwdriver clattered as police sirens wailed, Laura's final gift, a bogus domestic violence call. Christine scrambled backward, smearing oil and mascara across the workbench. "Rot in hell," she spat. I caught her wrist, pressing the DMV report into her palm. "Already did. For you." Her escape left tire marks on the divorce papers. I texted Laura's prison guard the security footage, Christine's face clear in 4K, violating her restraining order. The real DUI wasn't hers. It was mine, the night I'd driven to the cemetery after her third miscarriage, bourbon in hand, ready to join Dad. Laura's edited footage had saved me then. Now I would bury them both. As the Corvette's engine cooled, I toasted the security cameras with Christine's abandoned latte. Checkmate tastes better black. The vineyard's irrigation system sputtered rusty water onto my boots as Emily knelt to inspect the gnarled Merlot vines. "They look sick," she said, her college botany textbook peeking from a backpack that still bore Laura's monogram. I handed her the deed, its edges singed from where Christine had tried to burn it during the custody hearing. "So's the soil. Laura dumped herbicide here in '07. Emily's fingers brushed the notary stamp, Dad's forged signature bleeding through cheap ink. "Why give it to me?" The security feed on my phone showed Laura's parole officer circling the access road. "Your mom's idea." The lie came easily. Diane had overdosed on Laura's hoarded painkillers 6 months prior. She frowned at the tractor shed where we'd buried the lone shark. "Uncle George, did you ever?" Gunshots cracked the silence. We turned to see her vandalized textbook, Laura's name carved into the cover, resting against the lightning-scarred oak. "Not me." Emily paled, tracing fresh initials in the bark. LKW. I lit a cigarillo with Christine's Zippo. "Your aunt's parting gift." The smoke blurred the motion sensors I'd disabled last night. Emily's compass necklace swung as she peered closer. "There's dates underneath. 1945, 1978, 2007. The years Laura had poisoned the soil." She snapped a photo with the iPhone I'd paid off using Laura's commissary fund. "Should we tell the cops?" "Tell them what?" I kicked dirt over the septic tank's access hatch. "Family trees rot from the roots." Her text alert chirped, Laura's latest burner number. I glimpsed the message before she hid the screen. "Miss you, Bean." Emily's childhood nickname. The vineyard's well pump chose that moment to fail, spraying brackish water across Laura's initials. Emily scrambled to fix it, her hands moving with the same mechanical precision I'd taught her at 12. "Leave it," I said, tossing her the Corvette keys. "Some rot's too deep." She hesitated, eyeing the oak's fresh carvings. "What if she comes back?" I placed Diane's locket in her palm, the one containing Dad's hospice photo. "Then you'll know where to dig." Her hug lasted precisely 3 seconds, the same duration Laura's security system took to reboot. As the Corvette disappeared down the access road, I unearthed the lockbox from under the oak. Inside, Laura's parole paperwork, Christine's fake nursing license, and a USB drive labeled Emily's trust fund. The real deed fluttered from its hiding place in Emily's textbook. She'd swapped it with a forgery, just like I'd taught her. I toasted her cunning with the last of Laura's confiscated cognac. The sunset painted the vineyard in wildfire hues as the oak's shadow stretched toward the septic tank. Laura's voice crackled through the baby monitor hidden in the well pump. "Think you bought it?" Emily's laugh carried on the sulfur wind. Hook, line, and fucking sinker. The lockbox clicked open. Inside, next to Dad's corroded wedding band, Emily's juvenile arrest records, sealed, but not erased. I texted her burner, "Don't forget the arsenic in row 12. Her reply blinked as the first vine ignited. "Already done, Uncle George." The real inheritance wasn't land or blood. It was the matchbook from Laura's last prison visit, burning bright in my rear view as the vineyard's poison roots turned to ash. The fire pit roared with pages from our wedding album, the Polaroids curling into black roses as Christine's love letters dissolved into hieroglyphs of ash. I stirred the flames with Laura's confiscated pistol, its barrel warping into a crooked smile. The baby monitor at my feet crackled with encrypted prison calls, Laura's 37th attempt this week. When the burner phone finally rang, I let it cycle through our old anniversary song, "Crazy" by Patsy Cline, before answering. "Took you long enough." Laura's prison-tattooed breath hissed through the receiver. The vineyard's cursed. "You'll never." I tossed the notarized sale contract into the fire, its corporate logo blistering. "Sold it yesterday. Fracking company paid extra for the arsenic deposits." A guard shout muffled her curse. The line crackled with the same static from Dad's hospice monitor. "Emily knows," she spat. "About the septic tank. About him." Through the smoke, I watched the security feed on my phone. Emily's Corvette idling at the vineyard gates, her silhouette sharpening a shovel under moonlight. Kids today love recycling. The call died as sirens wailed in the distance. I texted Emily's burner the security code Laura had tattooed on her ribs during her meth phase. 12:25. "Happy birthday, Aunt Laura." The fire pit collapsed into embers, revealing Christine's wedding band fused to the pistol's trigger guard. I left it glowing in the ashes like a pagan offering and climbed into the tow truck I'd bought with Laura's commissary fund. As the headlights sliced through the vineyard's poisoned fog, the baby monitor broadcast Laura's final scream to the night. "It's not over." I adjusted the rearview mirror, smirking at the for sale sign, now listing the property as recently renovated. "No, but it's sold." The real curse wasn't the land. It was the Rolex ticking on my wrist, its hands permanently stuck at 11:47, the exact time Laura had pulled the trigger and missed.